Good evening, everyone. Mark Tarpley, N4UFP, the South Carolina Section Manager, and this is our second town hall meeting. The last one was December of 2021, and as we promised or threatened, as the case may be, we said we would do it every quarter, and here we are. And somewhere in the background should be our Public Information Coordinator, Gordon Mooneyhan. Hello, Gordon.
Hey, Mark, how you doing? And I like it. It's a threat, not a promise.
You know, it's tough to know whether something's a bug or a feature sometimes. The guy who's secretly in charge of everything that happens this evening is Technical Coordinator Brad Humphreys, AE4VJ. Brad, I know you're there somewhere.
Where'd he go? I saw him here. I don't know where he went.
I'll tell you, that guy is hard. He's always busy. He's always getting stuff done. He's hard to find. And
You usually find me at the coffee pot.
Are you a podcaster?
No,
the
radio.
Can I say hi?
Sure, why not?
Yeah, why not?
Hello. I'm
Hi.
McDonald's.
Okay.
Is this a great country or what?
It's great.
It is.
Great.
So
It is.
we have another group of guests that will be joining shortly. Our Roanoke Division Director, South Carolina's own Dr. Jim Boner, N2ZZ. He is a physician. He is on call this evening, but he said he would try to connect with us. And I'm sure once he shows up, Brad will bring him in. And we're also waiting on the Vice Director. Some of you may know him, N2COP, Bill Marine of Wilmington, North Carolina. And I've also invited, of course, our Section Emergency Coordinator, Billy Irwin, K9OH. And when these folks show up, we'll add them in the mix. And there's Philip Chandler. Good evening, Philip. Not good to know you're with us this evening. And I still owe you an answer on the oh my gosh, I hate it when this happens. On the
Getting old thing sucks, doesn't it?
Huh?
Getting old thing sucks, doesn't it?
It does,
It
but I'll tell you,
does.
the alternatives are actually significantly worse. It's the what the heck? I was going to say a DRM, but that's not it. That's a shortwave
DMR.
DMR. Thank you. I owe him some answers on DMR. We got Ed Knowles over in Newberry. Lloyd. Oh my gosh, he's up in Virginia. Okay,
Yeah,
good to have
Lloyd's
you with
a
us,
good one.
Lloyd.
And one of our all-time favorites, John.
Yes, I am not worthy, John.
And he says hello to you, Gordon.
You're welcome, John.
And tell us about that. We know all about it. So who else we got here? We got Michael Garvin.
I do not know Michael, but Michael, we're glad to have you with us. Good evening.
Thanks for stopping by. He's watching us on Facebook Live. We are on Facebook and YouTube. So you should be able to find us pretty easily on your favorite platform that you like to use. And you can see the comments roll down on both. And we'll reply to both.
Now, I can't guarantee we'll give you the. We're going to certainly try to give a right answer. We don't want to give any wrong answers. We'll do the best. We'll do the best job we can. Well, Brad, do you want to wait a little bit or get into some of the items we have on tonight's agenda? Oh, we have to wait.
Well, do we want to go over the agenda first, and then we'll bring our a guest in, or what do you want to do?
Go ahead, bring the guest in.
Yeah, let's bring the guest in. Let's see who the mystery guest is.
It's a mystery. There he is.
Oh,
Mr. Challenger, sign in, please.
You're muted, Bill. There you go.
And I know many people who wish I would remain so permanently.
we are not among them. We are not among them. Ladies and gentlemen, we are joined by the Roanoke Division Vice Director, Bill Marine, N2COP, an all-around nice guy, gentleman, and one heck of a raconteur.
Thank you. You're most kind, Mark, and I appreciate the three of you hosting this evening. I'm saying the three of you being Brad, Mark, and Gordon. And greetings from Wilmington, North Carolina. I'm slightly over the border where we have more expensive gas, more expensive liquor, and no access to fireworks. But I appreciate your invitation tonight, and look forward to hearing more about happenings in the Palmetto State.
Okay. Well, Brad, I think what we've got, some of the topics we've got to touch on tonight. We'll talk a little bit about the window opening for ARRL applications. I'm going to, at some point, pose a question to the folks who are with us. We'll see if I can find out if there are actually going to be any hamfests in South Carolina this year. So far, it appears not, but I'm sure something's going to happen this fall. I'll probably talk a little bit about digital contesting, and then I may touch on grant programs. One of the things I want to do is touch on an issue that relates to clubs. You know, it's funny. Sometimes ARRL grant programs go very much, they seem to fly under the radar, but it's a resource that clubs should know about. And Mr. Goodgame, K5ATA, who handles education and learning for the league, had a pretty nice presentation about some of that. And I may touch on a little bit of that as well, plus anything else that comes from the folks who have joined us this evening. That list is not meant to be exhaustive. That's just some of the things we might talk about, but I'm sure somebody else will bring something to the table, and we'll deal with it.
So we got somebody else on the line here.
Well, then let's bring them on.
Da-da-da-da.
Ta-da.
All right.
I'll show the club is here.
Now we can start. Jim is here. Hi, Jim.
How are you doing? You look like you're in the same place you were last night.
As a matter of fact, I am in exactly the same place I was last night.
And Bill, yes, you too. And look at that fancy stuff behind Brad.
Oh, Potomacs, stuff like that. Stuff. We can't see behind you. It's blurry. It's like we're drunk. We can only see you.
It just looks terrible behind me. I've got a green screen downstairs, but okay. There's a way to. Now that didn't work.
All right, there's Michael. Good evening, Michael. I had a chance to talk to Mike Oakley the other day, and it's good to see him with us this evening.
We got some twos from Long Island.
Wow.
Well, yeah, they're actually twos in two-land, unlike Jim and me, who are and Bill, who are expatriate two-landers.
Well, at least you have a 4 call though, Mark.
Yeah, well, that was purely a scheduling convenience. If things had happened a little bit differently, I would have had a 2 call. I just wound up getting to the Rock Hill Hamfest before I got the one in New Jersey.
We're very happy you did that.
Yeah, I think Jim tells a story about somebody asking about twos taking over, and they made a comment about, well, that section manager in South Carolina is the only guy with a 4 call, and I think Jim told him, "Oh, you don't understand. That guy's from Buffalo. He's another."
Yeah. He's just got a 4 call. That's it.
Yep, that's it. Not much of a guy, just a 4 call. All right. Let's. We getting any questions yet?
Oh yeah, a lot of people saying hi. So we got pretty good many watching. So we're growing in a good way.
Well, the first one, the consensus was we didn't suck, and that was a good enough reason to do it again.
Right. Well, you can suck. You just don't want to suck that bad.
Yeah. Well, the thing about here's the thing about being mediocre. It's not an absolute disaster, so you don't feel like you should pull the plug. And if you do it at that level the first time, it's pretty much a given. You're going to get better the second time, so you'll have some positive motion. We hope. Could go the other way. Let's hope that doesn't happen.
We do have a question.
All right.
Hit that.
Let's hit that.
Who's that from? From Dan G. So what's the point being made about DMR? I know the statewide exercise folks said they would like to use it more during this exercise on March 19th.
Yes, and I think they will. And the point, Dan, was just this: somebody who's with us this evening, Philip Chandler, had asked me to connect him with somebody who could help him kind of learn DMR. And there's I know a couple people that can help them, and I've been a slacker and haven't gotten around to doing it. And that was the whole conversation. It didn't go anything beyond that.
I can help him a little bit. The problem that we have, I think, in the Carolinas, and this is just me talking, is all the RF gateways are pretty much stuck on PRN, which kind of limits you to just the Carolinas on the DMR network. The other problem is their website has not been updated. Their Facebook group has not been updated. Talk group numbers, their website just tells you the talk group name, not necessarily the number. The name doesn't mean anything without the number. So it's a little hard to get programming. There's some code plugs out there. I have downloaded a few, and friends of mine have, and found out that a lot of them are just wrong, or they're off just a little bit. So, and they're not quick to make. They take some time if you're going to make a big one.
Yeah, I remember that from my experience with my DMR radio, which is now obsolete, and I can't even use it for a doorstop. It's not big enough. So I'm going to have to go out and get another one and go through this whole process again.
I guess we have Hamfest coming up. Charlotte this weekend?
Yep. Although to not to put too fine a point on it, but it's not actually in Charlotte.
It's not even in the same county.
No, it's up in Cabarrus County.
Yeah.
So for us, it's about as long a drive as going to Columbia.
Yeah. Bill, Jim, are you guys planning on making any of those? That one?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, we're both planning on coming to Charlotte, and we'll be there both days, Friday and Saturday.
And of course, we'll be at the ARRL Forum, which will be held at 10 a.m.
I saw that they gave you guys a better time slot. They put you in prime time.
Yeah,
Always look for the 10 o'clock spot.
Yeah.
Gives you enough time to get there, get the booth warmed up, be able to go over, do that, and come back. Works out perfectly. I think, Bill, we probably got the 10 o'clock slot in every place that we've tried. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, we did get prime time. Yeah, usually we're either late in the afternoon or we follow some amazing discussion on some de-expedition where you can't even shoehorn your way into the hall, and then all these people just mass exodus, and don't forget, stay for the ARRL forum, and then we'll have a reasonable crowd. I hope we do have a good crowd.
Well, I remember with Kay Craigie when I was at FrostFest. She gave the presentation, and my forum was right after it. And I'm looking around, and the place is packed. As soon as she left, about 7/8 of the group went with her. So, what can I say?
Well,
But we'll have wonderful things about, and I don't mean to hijack your meeting tonight, Mark, for the South Carolina section, but we will have ARRL matters more at the national and regional rather than section level that we can discuss at the Hamfest for those who will be there this Saturday.
oh, and it's not my meeting; it's our meeting, and you guys aren't hijacking it. You're just providing some of the content. So,
well, and I think a lot of people like being able to hear stuff directly from you. It's just good. It's good business.
Well, it's good to be getting back out after such a lengthy time. I really want to congratulate the number of clubs out there and a smaller amount of Hamfest that pivoted during the pandemic and adapted themselves to video conferencing formats, usually Zoom, this type, StreamYard, or WebEx from Cisco. It was, in fact, I ended up getting to club meetings virtually because I could never get to them in person just because of the distance and time. For example, and I live in North Carolina. I'm on the coast in Wilmington. I remember getting an invitation to go to a radio club out by Murphy, which is at the other end of the state. It's a 10-hour drive each way. And part of the club members wanted to know why I couldn't make it on a Tuesday night.
Well, and I think this is probably going to allow more people to participate in the clubs. I mean, once you start doing this, don't you kind of have to keep doing the video stuff? It's hard to just stop cold turkey on that, isn't it?
I think, if I may, Brad, I think we're going to see a hybrid model evolve, in which there'll be both an in-person meeting and, for lack of a better term, simulcasting out to video conference. So you'll get a hybrid model, and people morph into that. I'm a big fan of these virtual meetings because we're reaching many more people. There are, as of right now, 232 ARRL affiliated clubs in the 4 states which make up the Roanoke Division: South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, and West Virginia. And Jim and I are now getting to clubs that we've never been near because of video conferencing capability.
It definitely allows you to cover a wider area. I was able to make some presentations to clubs like the folks down the Trident Club down in Goose Creek. That would have been a challenge for me to do that. In fact, I visited them once in person, and I was still working, and their meeting, I think, was on it's either a Tuesday or Thursday, and I left work a little early to get down to, essentially Greater Charleston by 7 p.m. Did the presentation I was going to do, stuck around for the rest of the meeting, a little chat afterwards, and at 9:30, I'm on the road driving back to Rock Hill because at 8 a.m. the next morning I have to be at the office. At least, well, of course, now I'm retired, so I have a little bit more flexibility in that regard. But I think people will probably continue to do something with virtual meetings because it gives you a reach you don't have. And John actually has made an interesting point here that they have members in places where people couldn't possibly show up for the meeting. I've driven from Rock Hill to Iowa. My ex-wife was from the Hawkeye State, and let me tell you, that's 2 days of fun driving to get to Iowa.
Distance.
Yeah. Well, and even during the pandemic, like John mentioned in the previous comment, they almost doubled the membership in 2 years, and they were doing virtual meetings, and people just want to be involved, and that is a way to involve them. Yep. And it's kind of what we're doing here. And then, like you said, he's having remote guests and remote members, and they've had these with Bob Heil and Callum. Those have all been real good talks. Yep. And we've had this technology for so long, and just something finally made us use it. And I think it's been a good thing. Crappy circumstance, but a good thing.
Well, it's, a lot of times people don't do something until they need to. Just because the technology exists doesn't mean people will use it. There's usually some trigger event. Something happens that suddenly makes it useful and have a high value add, and then everybody flocks to it.
From the ARRL side with the VEC, this pandemic caused changes that I never would have expected. The league pretty much wanted to do exams all by mail. Well, other places like Westcars, W4BBC, W5II were getting licenses within a day. It would be several weeks because it would be mail service only, and they were very staid about it. It just did not change. So when I got back to the league, I asked them about what they were doing. And they said, "Oh, we're doing everything electronic." I said, "Oh, really?" And they said, "Yes. In fact, we've got some stalwarts out there that insist on using mail, but we accommodate them." And this was the biggest shift that I have ever seen in the league, because they were so stuck in one direction, and they didn't really need to change, but they did. And I'm glad that that's happened. So, being an ARRL FE, maybe we'll see more VE testing from ARRL in the division.
And I think the numbers that John Gendron posted 2-3 minutes ago on their increase in membership during the pandemic shows that it isn't about an in-person meeting. It's about engagement.
Mm-hmm.
and there are a lot of different ways to engage people. And I think John I see something else crawling across the screen now. Yeah, they went back to virtual. They went to virtual in November 2019, which was really slightly in advance of the main wave of the pandemic. But it was really to help the folks who couldn't get out. Makes a lot of sense.
Electronic testing. It's about time we start doing that, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because that's routine in so many areas. I mean, even where I used to work, we made the switch from in-person education to basically 90% online in a matter of 2 weeks. We switched over, and one of the weeks was spring break, and it's funny, we gave the students an extra week of spring break in the spring 2020 semester, which they did not complain about at all. And after that, the rest of the semester was online. And of course, I'm retired now. I don't know what they've been doing since then, but I think they're doing a lot of stuff online, and students are fine with it. George, good evening. And he points out that EMD's been doing that for quite a while. It makes a lot of sense. And in fact, Brad, I need to talk to you about some SBE stuff about I want to talk to you at some point about the exams. I'm still trying to find you a venue. And
it's all right. We'll figure it out.
Yeah. So maybe there's a way to do that electronically too. Who knows?
All right. We need to get to the agenda here.
Well, yeah, we could. We
got a little lull in questions.
All right. Well, let me see what we've got here. The first thing, these are a couple of things that were in the section report. We'll kind of run through them real quick. Well, actually, I don't know what this one was, but it's worth mentioning. Amateur radio with the International Space Station, ARRIS, ARRISS. They will be looking for proposals from schools to host an amateur radio contact. The window for applications opens on February 21st of this year and closes March 31st. They hope to schedule the contacts somewhere between the beginning of 2023 and June 30th of 2023. And it's interesting. Scheduling an ARRIS contact depends partly on the orbital parameters of the space station itself. And that orbit changes over time. We think of space as being empty, but it's not. There are lots of things that impact the orbit of the space station. And so the orbital parameters change. And it's really hard at this point to say exactly when it will be going over a given school on a particular day in 2023. So the schools will have to be flexible. But the deadline is this March. And we have had stations in South Carolina selected before. For those of you that are familiar with the upstate, several years ago, a middle school in Richburg, of all places, and folks who live in the upstate of South Carolina know that Richburg is kind of, it's like a dot on the map, a little small community off of I-77. I think the road that goes through there at near South Carolina Route 9. And the dates, thank you. Dates again, the window for applying to do an ARRIS contact opens February 21st of this year, February 21st, 2022. And that window closes March 31st of 2022. And the contacts would be scheduled sometime between January 1st and June 30th of 2023. And that, in a sense, that's good. You got plenty of time to work it out and pick a time when the space station will be in range overhead. It's funny. People think about the space station as being really far away. But if you've ever worked with VHF, the space station is only a couple hundred miles above the surface of the Earth. It's, in a sense, it's no different from making a tropo contact on 2 meters with somebody down in North Georgia.
Well,
It's in a different direction.
It's nothing in the way.
Yeah, actually, that's true. It is truly line of sight. So hopefully some folks in South Carolina will go ahead and apply, take advantage of that. It's a wonderful way to expose people to amateur radio. And typically kids find it pretty cool when they get to talk to people on the space station. That's not something that can happen just every day. All right. Any more comments on that, Brad?
Well, that was it there.
Okay.
Liking the engagement, though.
Say what?
I'm liking the engagement.
Yeah, well, I actually have this next item is really a question I have for the folks out there in amateur radio land in South Carolina. And if anybody knows about any ham fests that are going to happen later this year, I'd kind of like to know about it, because typically, I'll visit club websites, look for information. All right, so Philip just posted something. Philip, I will make a note of that.
Yeah, that's the QSO today.
Yep.
Which they've been doing that for a while.
I was actually, that's good to know, but I was kind of thinking about some of the ham fests that we traditionally have, the Upstate Ham Fest in Spartanburg, and of course YCARS in October in Rock Hill. The guys in Chester always have a tailgate party in August, and I'll tell you, that's a tough bunch that can have a tailgate party on a Saturday morning in August.
That's why they do it in the morning.
Me too. I'm very glad. Yeah, they're out there early, and I think guys over in Batesburg, Leesville have done a nice little tailgate party in the past. But if folks know about something, I'd like to know about it, and certainly you can shoot me something right now. Or Tammy, they'll be scheduling a swap fest. Any idea when they're going to do it?
We'll have to wait a minute or so for it to. Well,
Yeah.
Boom.
And what was the other one we had, Brad? The
QSO today.
Yeah.
That's a virtual.
Yep. And that was
KCARC is also planning to schedule a swap fest.
a swap fest. Okay. Well, Tammy, if you can give me some specifics, some dates, I want to make sure I include that. Thank you, George. That would be great to have something in Sumter. Sumter's been kind of quiet the last couple of years.
My question to George is that going to be a combo thing, or are they each going to have their own?
It sounds like a combo, but George, how's that going to work? Is that actually going to be the Florence Club, Donnie Bryant and his team working with the Sumter and Kershaw club to set up something? So we'll see what he comes back with. Yeah, I'd just like to get the dates. I want to be able to. Thanks, Lloyd.
And George replied here. We'll get to that in just a minute.
Okay. So it's August. Because what I can do is start putting information out and make sure people know what's going on. Because I think everybody's ready for a ham fest.
Yeah. And that a combo ham fest with those three getting together should be actually a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
I think be a good show.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun. I'm hoping they're able to pull that off.
So that's actually a fair amount of activity for ham fests.
Yep, it looks like it's all going to be summer through fall. That's good. Omicron caseloads will be way down by then. It'll be easy. It'll be better for people to travel. I'm trying to work with Donald for that swap fest. Well, George, good luck. And if you get some more as you get more details, would you shoot me an email and let me know? And I'll be happy to talk about it and put it out on the webpage, put it in my reports every chance I get, and try to drive attendance. Absolutely. Same with you, Lloyd. Let me have the details, and I'll do everything I can to sell everybody on it.
Now, Mark, this is a good question because they're trying to get you details. Where do they actually need to see that? I know you've had some problems with your ARRL.org.
Yes, I have. For those of you that have thought that I'm ignoring you, I am not. The league has had some problems with email forwarding, and they're working on it. But for the time being, the best way to reach me is mtarpley, MTARPLEE, at Comporium, COMPORIUM.net. And I will definitely get that. My email forwarding's been a little spotty for the past 3-4 months. I don't get any emails for a while, and then one morning I open my email box and I get a month's worth. The folks at HQ know about it, and the IT people there are working on it. I don't know what happened, but they'll give it their best shot. But in the meantime, mtarpley@comporium.net. I look at that. I guess I need more of a life. I look at that at least 4 or 5 times a day to see what's going on. So that's a way that information will get directly to me. And when the email forwarding problem gets squared away, and N4UFP@ARRL.org works all the time, I'll be sure to let everybody know so we can go back to using that.
Hey, Gordon had a something.
Yeah, we're going to try and get Beach Fest going again this year. Maybe not out at the school. I'm going to try and talk them into one of the places at the malls that's empty. But we'll see what happens. I may have to drag them kicking and screaming.
Why don't we have it at a bar?
I like that idea.
Well, Brad, that venue has a lot to recommend it. On the other hand, we're trying to pull youth into amateur radio.
It's a great place to start then, it sounds like. Oh, you want younger than that. Okay.
I'm done. I got nothing. I'm done. I'm not
Jim's
saying
Jim's over there saying, I think I'm going to fake a call so I can go.
Yeah, he's done with us.
All I can say is I'm looking at this. I'm looking at a former administrator and teacher, and he's thinking what this would bring into the table. So,
Hey, just I think you got to be flexible and sort of meet people where they are. I don't know. It's interesting. I've never been to a ham fest at a bar, but I'm not saying I wouldn't go. I probably would.
You at least stop by, right?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
oh boy.
Moving on.
Yes. And I think we've now given that particular topic all the attention it deserves. Maybe more, maybe too much. So a couple other things, just some housekeeping items. For those of you that are digital mode aficionados, and sadly, I am one of those people. I've made several thousand contacts since July of 2017, and they're all on FT8. That says something about me, and it's probably nothing good. One of the things that's been missing for folks who use FT8 a lot is the contesting experience. And now the league has decided that they're going to sponsor a digital contest. And I think that is something that's long overdue. Trying to hold on. It's in June. It will be the first ARRL International Digital Contest, the weekend of June 4th and 5th, 2022. And it is a digital-only contest. Participants can use any digital mode, interestingly, with the exception of RTTY. And I suspect that's simply because there are already RTTY contests on the calendar.
Actually, they just had a RTTY contest. They wanted their own contest.
Yeah. RTTY. Those are two. I know. I've been in the. I've worked the CQ Worldwide RTTY contest. I think that's or CQWPX. It's in September, and yeah, typically radio teletype folks wanted their own thing, and they've had it in a lot of HF contests, and so there's no point in duplicating. And there are plenty of other digital modes. I think the interesting thing, I'm making plans to operate a little bit in that contest, is to see how it shakes out. Any digital mode covers a lot of territory. And Brad, I think you just put the information up on the screen.
Yep, there's the website there. There's the post about it. If anybody wants to see it, it's ARRL facebook.org/ARRL digital contest. Maybe we could get them to, well, we'll talk about URLs at some other time. But this one isn't as bad. There's some that are pretty bad.
Well, I think it's a
But
good
now,
thing.
here's a big thing right here. Log submissions for that contest. You got 7 days and only submitted online. So if you're going to get in that contest, that's a handy thing for you to know.
And I would think anybody who's going to be operating in a digital mode contest will be able to do that without any difficulty. That will be like falling off a log.
I would think so. And yes, Michael, I'll put the URL. I'll put it up on a banner here for that. Hang on 1 second. You guys continue to talk, and I'll.
It's really good that the contests are doing this. We had the Carolinas weekend this past weekend, and of course, everything was ready to submit the logs immediately. So I submitted both of mine probably within 30 minutes of the contest. So it's good that it's no longer a month, and we'll see when the results come. Because nowadays everybody wants immediacy. They don't want to wait 6 months to see how they did in the contest.
Well, I did not participate in either the contest or any of the QSO parties. I've just I got to finish this bathroom renovation.
Yeah, I was out of town.
And my brother-in-law, I'm holding him hostage. He can't go back to Ohio until I got a working bathroom. So
I was going to say, get your bathroom done if you ever want to get rid of them.
oh, and they're not with us tonight. But interestingly, my wife's sister and my brother-in-law are both hams. Bob is KD8DCQ and his wife is KD8JOT. Oh, Dan, yes. Unfortunately, I invited Billy. He was not here. So last time I talked to Billy about this was probably this particular topic was, last month. And
It's been an ongoing thing, hasn't it?
It's kind of like Michelangelo and the Pope and somebody wanting to know when the Sistine Chapel is going to get a ceiling with a fresco on it. I'm done when I'm done. I don't have a firm date. I've tried very hard. I haven't gotten a firm date from that team yet, and there've been some other changes in the personnel working on that. So I'm guessing we're probably a couple months away from having that done. And thank you, Brad. There's the link for the digital contest.
Yep.
Take a look at the information. For those of you that like FT8, Olivia, and some of the other stuff, this will be a chance to use those modes, and it really will be interesting to see which one predominates. My guess is it's probably going to be FT4 or FT8.
Yeah.
That's what I'm kind of expecting, and some of the other ones there'll probably be some pockets of activity, but I'm thinking mostly probably a lot of FT4 because it's so fast.
Yeah, that's the most bang for your buck, and it's the easiest. Wham bam,
Yeah.
Thank you, Mount. It's going to be fun watching your band scopes, and you're going to see this one little sliver, and it's going to be all red.
Yeah, I guarantee you that whole piece of spectrum around 14.080 megahertz will be just covered up. In fact, I think what's going to happen, you're probably going to see it spread beyond the typical 2,500 hertz that people generally use for modes like FT8, FT4, and you'll probably see 5 or 6 kilohertz of activity, and people will actually have to work people in one part of the band segment and then kind of slide up and do some more. Nobody's ever done a digital contest other than RIDI, so it'll be really interesting to see what kind of operating procedures come out of this, how people do hunt and pounce versus running a frequency. I have some ideas about how that might work, but I really don't know how it will, so I'm kind of looking forward to it.
It's about time.
Yeah, it is, and it's very much in the spirit of amateur radio as an experimental service.
Right.
So we'll see what happens. I am sure there are folks who love the contest and folks who love digital modes, so no doubt fun will be had by all.
That's right.
It'll be a warm-up for field day is what it'll be.
There's been a lot of digital contacts for field day.
The last couple of VHF contests I've been in, I ran only FTA, and had made plenty of contacts.
Well, especially with the cycle and the sunspot numbers being in the toilet. Now that's coming back around, but you could always find somebody on FTA.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's true. It's like CW 30 years ago. You can always find somebody on FTA. Two more things, and I'm going to shut up. One of them is grant programs for clubs, and the details are in my monthly report, and I'll just kind of cover the high points here. There are, for lack of a better word, there are basically three kinds of grant programs that the league is involved in. Actually, I should be more specific. The league's foundation. One of them is brand new. I'll talk about that for a minute. The league is launching a new club grants program for April 20. In April of 2022. The program will fund eligible projects up to $25,000. What I do not have yet is any additional information. Jim or Bill may have some on the actual process and some of the criteria that the grants will be judged by. This is all very new, so they're developing it as we speak. One program the league's had in place for a while are the ARRL Foundation grants. It awards up to $3,000 for organizations with eligible projects, and they emphasize education, licensing, bringing youth into the hobby. And if your club's interested in doing something like that, that's another source of funding. A larger pool of money is one that the league does not control, but it's still related to amateur radio, and it comes from ARDC, the Amateur Radio Digital Communications Federation. They actually offer grant funding for projects that relate to the support and growth of amateur radio, education, R&D, and there's no upper limit on the awards. But there are definite criteria, and I won't go into all those details here, but if you go to www.ampr.org, you can look on the ARDC website and get all the details. They have several filing windows throughout the year, and if your club's got something really interesting that they want to do, that might be the way to go. More specialized, probably the most specialized opportunity out there right now is the Colvin Award. It's administered by the league, and it supports projects that promote goodwill in the field of DXing. And as you might guess, there are very specific criteria for grant proposals. And my advice to anyone thinking about it, go to www.arrl.org/Colvin-award-grants. Take a look at it. There's some very specific things that you have to do. But if you've got a project that meets the criteria, it's worth making the application. The league is not getting anywhere near as many grant proposals as they would like to have. And sometimes the process is not as competitive as it could be because they only have a couple of proposals to review. So if you're part of a club and you guys have a project in mind, please go out and take a look at these things and consider that kind of a grant. Now, these grants won't fund ongoing things. It's pretty much a one-time thing. This is to get something started and get it rolling. After that, you're responsible for it. But it's a great way to get resources to do something new that maybe you didn't have the resources to do inside your club. So please think about it and take advantage of those opportunities. That's pretty much that's most of it, Brad. I can talk about Mr. Good Game for a minute if you want, or let's see what we've the last grant. Okay. The last one I talked about, I just saw Mr. Garvin's question, was the Colvin Award, Colvin, Colvin Award. And Brad just put the link up there. That one's pretty specialized, but if you're a DXer, maybe right up your alley. Take a look at it.
You could, it's real easy. If you go to the ARRL.org website, you go up there to the keywords, just type grants, you'll
Yep.
get a list of all of
You
them.
get all of them.
Yeah.
All right. That's pretty much the highlights of things out of the section report, Brad. Real briefly, I'll mention the league has somebody new on the team, K5ATA, Mr. Good Game, and he's responsible for education, and he's doing education and learning. He's the manager of education and learning activities. He gave a very nice presentation on the last section managers meeting that I attended virtually, and it's interesting. In a period of a couple of years, he was a teacher at a high school. He was an incredible number. Jim, correct me if I'm wrong. Something in a period of 3 years, he created something like 62 new hams through the classes he was teaching. And the guy is he's really something. And it's too early to know what's going to happen. He's brand new. He's still trying to get his feet on the ground. But the league is certainly committed to doing more in that area, and hopefully we'll have some new things going on that we'll hear about as time goes on. All right, Brad. That's all. I mean, that's all the stuff from the section managers report. What else have we got on tonight's list?
I don't know, Bill or Jim need to cover anything?
I'm going to pass over to Bill. I'm still getting my feet wet here, getting back into things. And Bill has been giving these presentations for the last 3 years. So let me defer to him.
Well, I think the one thing I would expand upon, getting back to volunteer exams, ARRL recognizes that the paper format for submitting examination results from VE teams to Newington is outdated and has gotten worse with some of the logistic problems with the United States Postal Service. So ARRL had been beta testing and is now available to its VE teams. It's a software program called Exam Tools. And it's a fully available as a rollout. I personally have not used it. I am a VE, but I don't act as a liaison at the sessions, meaning another way of saying kind of the chief examiner or the person in charge who collects the exams, does the paperwork, and remits it to Newington. Well, my understanding is that Exam Tools will permit scanning of files into PDF format, and then you just electronically sending up to Newington, and the issue times are competitive with other VE programs. So check that out, ARRL.org, and just for the search engine, look at Exam Tools, and I'm going to see if Brad is able to zip that up anytime before the end of the town hall.
There's remotely administered amateur exam systems. No, that's something else.
We'll take some time on that one, Brad. Mm-hmm.
Probably just the ARRL VEC page.
Here's the resources.
Tammy Livingston, right? Like the Laurel program, yes and no, Tammy, because the difference is, and we got here, David has, that's right. If you go to examtools.org, and in fairness, I have not used this or done it, so I'm kind of pontificating now and guessing. I do know that the league is by far the largest of the VECs conducting examinations still, but others have gone electronic, and others still, like Laurel, are not charging for this. And the board is looking at ways possibly to, if you're taking a new exam as through the ARRL VEC program, that we might be able to combine a credit towards a membership fee with an ARRL. So I just wanted to put out Exam Tools as a competitive tool. now in the VE realm. And
It's
yeah, and by the way, a shout out to all those people who are VEs who give up their weeknights and Saturdays to help get people licensed. The last I saw, there are close to 780,000 licensees in the United States. And since 1982, I believe is the year, was the transition from exams only administered at the FCC offices in person or conditionally to VEs in the field. So the majority of people who've been licensed have been licensed through volunteer programs like this. So I tip the hat to all those out there who are VEs.
Yeah, and it's exam.tools is where it is.
Okay, thank you, Brad. I
Yeah.
should have known that.
Oh, that's all right. I mean, the .org, but they got one of the new fancy URLs, exam.tools, and that's down there in the comments. So that should be easy to find.
Brad,
Yes, sir.
in the declining moments of the hour, I want to touch on something completely different. Folks who pay attention to the workings of our General Assembly may have noticed that the Senate passed a bill, and it's now going to go through some reconciliation process with the House. I believe it was Senate Bill 248. This was a bill that made distracted driving. Well, if it's enacted, it will make distracted driving unlawful. And the framers did their best to try to define what distracted driving is. I'm not sure they got there, but what the good news is, there is a blanket exemption in the bill for amateur radio. So folks who may have friends or relatives, family members that are in either house of the General Assembly, if you hear about the bill, right now we'll have to see what happens when the House and Senate get together. But right now there is a blanket exemption exempting amateurs in general, and it's a general exemption, not restricted to emergency communications or drills or anything like that. And let's keep our fingers crossed, and we should be in good shape. Jim may know better than I. I think he follows the General Assembly more than I do. But this is probably, in my limited experience, this is probably the fifth bill that the General Assembly has taken up trying to limit distracted driving, and I think there are probably more than that. And none of them have ever seen the light of day. They've never come to a final vote. They've never been enacted. This one may or may not be, but at least in this one, we have a blanket exemption. So we'll be able to continue to operate mobile for the people who do that. We'll keep our eyes on it and see what happens, but that's where it stands right now. We mess with the General Assembly, so you don't have to.
Very good. So does Gordon got anything for us?
I do. There were two public service events this past weekend: the 25th annual Myrtle Beach Marathon and the 25th annual Sandblast Rally over in Cheraw. And I went over for that. We had 55 ham operators at the Sandblast Rally.
Wow.
It lasted 12 hours, so that was just 660 man hours. And between the value of man hours and the equipment used, we contributed about $29,310
In one event.
in the value of the time and equipment used. Still waiting to hear about the Myrtle Beach Marathon, but I have been told I will have those numbers by the end of the week.
Excellent.
It's interesting. People often don't think about what the actual value add of volunteers is, and in some cases it is significant. It's somebody rarely takes the time to compute what it is. And Gordon and I were talking about this before the meeting.
Yeah. Well,
and go ahead.
What had happened in an interview, I was asked, how much do you contribute during a hurricane? And fortunately, it was on the radio, so I was doing this number in there while I was answering. And it made me say to myself, I don't want to not know a number again. So this has been something I've been working on for about 3 or 4 years, and Bill has helped me when he was on the PR committee. And if Jim and Bill give me their blessings, it's going to be beta tested in South Carolina section this year. If y'all are cool with it.
As Captain Picard says, make it so.
Then it will be done.
Well, Brad, I think we wasted an hour.
We did. We got just a couple of minutes left for some bragging material that John puts in. He's always looking out for telling us the good things Wycars does. They get good representation there.
Well, this is probably why they doubled their membership in a pandemic.
Yeah.
John he's a good sales guy. And John,
he's just an all-around good guy.
He is. John, send me the details, because I love to talk about clubs in my monthly report and give credit where credit is due. Kent Hufford has been real good about telling me all the great things that the Schofield Middle School Club is doing. And for those of you that know Kent Hufford, KQ4KK, when he talks to you, you're going to listen. You need to listen. He's been real good about sharing information. That school club has done some great stuff. And John, give me the details. Shoot me something in an email, and I'll be happy to talk about the club in my next report. I think that's important. Someone might have been in the meeting I was in with Mike Walters. Somebody said that clubs are the backbone of amateur radio.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of truth to that. And because clubs are such an important part of what we do, I want to be able to feature clubs in South Carolina, talk about the good things they're doing. And there's a lot of good stuff that goes on. Clubs don't always necessarily think about how they could leverage it and let other people know and benefit. So when you're doing stuff, please let me know about it. I'll be happy to talk it up. And I think anytime the club achieves some kind of milestone, whether it's in contesting or DXing, Lord knows what, it's always good to take a moment and savor the victory. So let me know about it, and we'll see if we can we can put your brag tape out there. Brad, that's all I got. I'm going to shut up before we run out of time.
Well, all the clubs, if we can get information from them, we can include that. Let's brag about the entire state. Let's get it out there, and let's make the rest of the country envious of what we're doing. Because we got some good people doing some good things. We just need to get the word out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Anything? I'm watching the comments.
Yeah, John's calling the Wycars net, so I asked him to.
Yeah, he's gone. I noticed he's asked Philip to pass some information along to me, and that'll be great.
Yeah.
And that's all I've got. Any other questions, comments, hate mail?
Well, let's ask for questions from the audience here. It takes it a minute or so to get around. So any final questions, and we'll chat while that comes through. And then I guess that'll be it.
Mr. Garvin, it was a pleasure to have you with us this evening, and I'm glad we could glad we provided something that was useful. Like I said, this is the second time we've done it, and the first time didn't suck, so we're going to keep doing it and hope we get better at it.
Yeah, we didn't suck too bad the first time. I think we sucked even less this time.
Yeah, at some point we'll get sort of above zero, and it'll start to get better. Now we're just getting less sucky. We're still on the negative side of the graph.
Yeah, well, but we're going up, so that's
Yes.
really all that matters. As long as we're progressed, we're doing good, I think.
We are slowly crawling out of the hole that we dug for ourselves from some prior time.
Oh, there's the clock
bell
on
is
the wall. Jesus Christ, what time?
The bell tolls for thee.
Yes. Mike, thank you. It was good to have you with us. Next time, torture us a little. Ask us some tough questions. Make us sweat.
Yeah, let's see. All right. Well, you guys on here, hang out for a minute. We'll end this up. We're right at an hour and 1 minute, which is pretty good. So if you see you all disappear here, don't worry. Just hang out. We'll come back in and we'll finish up some other business. But Mark, you want to tie a ribbon on it?
Yeah. I want to thank everybody who joined us this evening. And some folks were just there to watch the presentation, but you know what? This works a lot better when we have some interaction. So please, when we do this again next quarter, bring some questions. We're not afraid of hard questions. We'll be the first to tell you that we can't answer them. But hey, challenge us. We're the field services organization in South Carolina, and we exist to work for you. So put us to work, challenge us, bring your questions. That's the whole purpose of this. Gives us a chance to interact directly with you and help us get better at what we do and serve you better. And that having been said, we are out of here.